Hi, everybody. We are ready to start our third workshop on increasing the rigor of learning focused lessons. So, have a seat, get comfortable, and here we go. Okay, so the first slide, we are going to talk about basically, I'd just like for you to share anything that you may have learned new, or maybe something that's just kind of clicked for the first time, or just any kind of a takeaway that you might have from Don Marlette's visit last week. So if you could just kind of jot that down on your screen there and submit it, and then we will keep moving. So go ahead and pause this video, and we'll keep going as soon as you get that typed in. Okay, so just a quick review. We have learned about there are four different levels of learning. The level of testing that our standards are based on, or actually our testing is based on our standards. Our standards are written more for a level three thinking, that analyzing and reasoning. The old testing was more a level one and two, basic recall, but now they're wanting to challenge kids to think deeper about the issues, to analyze, to critique, to evaluate. And so we have to prepare them for that, because if we continue to teach at level one and two, our kids are not going to be able to do well on the milestones assessments, or in life they need to be able to analyze and evaluate and to do critical thinking. So we are going to figure out now. So we see that these are important, but how do you teach kids how to think? So a lot of times our kids don't know how to infer, or they don't know how to find patterns. So how do you go about teaching those thinking strategies? Well, we have to do it explicitly. And when you're going to have to teach a thinking pattern to your kids, you need to do it in that first learning activity. So before you start teaching that content, you need to do a preview of the kinds of thinking they're going to need to do, and get them ready for that type of thinking. So what we're going to be doing over these next few slides is we're going to be practicing how do you teach a thinking strategy. So look at these pictures. So if you look at these five pictures, what do you think they have in common? And if you were going to have these five characters in a book, what would it be called? So take a moment and put down what you think on the collaborate board. And again, pause this video, and when you finish, come back. So as we continue, let's add these six characters to the ones you just saw, the five you just saw. So again, what do all of these have in common? If they were all featured in a book, what might the title of that book be? And let's add to that this list of names, because all of these are in this same book, and it's actually a real book. What do these things all have in common? And what might the title of that book be? So again, pause this video and write down what you think the title of the book might be that has all of those characters in it. So again, pause this video and write down your answer. Okay, the skill you had to use to be able to answer those questions is inference. And here you see an anchor chart that kind of steps you through how to do an inference. Um, what can we learn about making inferences from this anchor chart? Well, first off, when we infer, we focus on details to reach a conclusion and to justify that conclusion with evidence. When we do this, we uncover patterns in the information, leading to deeper insight and retention. It's important to know that when we infer, we may not always come to the correct conclusion, but we use the clues and information available to us to come to the best conclusion possible. The first step when you're making an inference is to focus on specific pieces of information or observations. The information or details that I have are the pictures of the different things. So my details are Mickey Mouse, Santa Claus, Kermit the Frog, Superman, Cat in the Hat, Smokey the Bear, Cinderella, and James Bond. The second step is to not make assumptions. This means I have to use all of my details and have enough clues to make an inference. The third step is to look for connections in the information. So I am looking for the patterns. What do all the details have in common? First, none of them are alive. Second, they are all characters. Third, I have heard of them all, so they're all famous. But what else do they have in common? There must be another pattern, or else all famous characters would be on this list, like SpongeBob. The other pattern is that they have all had an impact on culture and people. The fourth step is to make a general statement that explains the observed pattern. I think my generalization is that all these characters, while not alive, have still become well known because they've made an impact on culture and society. The fifth step is to use evidence to support the inference. For example, Superman has made an impact on culture because we refer to him when someone is exceptional at a skill or is able to multitask with effectiveness, a myriad of responsibilities. So, again, all these characters are actually in a real book, and it is called The 101 Most Influential People Who Never Lived. We're going to be using some of these characters that you have met from this book later on as we explore how to teach thinking strategies. So, your next question is I want you to think about all the characters that were in that book. Um, who else might go on that list? If you were to add somebody else to that list, who would you put on there and why? So, go ahead and take a minute, pause this video, and enter your response. So the skill that you just did now was you made a deduction. You deduced who should go on that list, which is another higher order thinking strategy. So a rule was applied. They couldn't have lived. They had to have had an influence on society in some way. Then you searched for items that applied to the rule. We found details or clues, looked for patterns among the clues, and then based our conclusion or generalization on those clues. So you may be thinking right now, okay, this is great, but my students can't handle this kind of thinking. I mean, I think it's great, but my kids can't handle that. Well, in Changing the Odds, What Matters Most for Student Achievement, author Brian Goodwin uses a great analogy for thinking about this statement. He says, if you were to announce to a personal trainer, sorry, I can't lift weights because I'm not very strong. Well, your trainer would no doubt tell you that lifting weights makes your muscles stronger, and thus, as you lift weights, you are able to lift more weight. The same is true with higher order thinking. The more students use it, the better they become. Just like beginning weightlifters, students may need scaffolding and support until they become stronger. Maybe you're thinking, I'm convinced that this critical thinking is great for my students and they need to get better at that, but my plate's already full. How can I possibly add one more thing to what I'm already doing? Well, it's important to keep in mind that higher order thinking is not an add on. The essence of the new generation of state standards is higher order thinking. When you are focusing on higher order thinking in your lessons, you are addressing what is required by the standards. You may find that many of the recall activities that students completed in the past are no longer appropriate for helping them to meet those standards. You will replace these with more rigorous activities and assignments. As you think about this shift to a greater emphasis on higher order thinking, it's important to think instead of rather than in addition to. So here you see a list of the 9 higher order thinking strategies. Some of these you may be more familiar with than others, but we are going to be looking at these in depth and how we can teach our kids how to do these. So we are going to be doing a little project, and you guys will have until the end of February to get this done. You are going to be assigned 3 tasks per grade level. And then on grade level, you all can decide how you want to do this. Our sped teachers and connections teachers, you can feel free to join a grade level and help them out. I'm sure they would love to have your help. You're going to read the selected task, and we're going to look at that because I've attached that to the classroom as well with this presentation. So you're going to read your task and then decide which thinking strategy is required to answer the question or to solve the problem. So use the slides to locate information on the strategy process to help guide your work. So you're going to read your problem, and then I have given you a definition, the steps involved, and questions to ask to apply that strategy. So you're going to need to look at that question or look at that scenario and figure out what thinking strategy is needed to solve this problem. Use the steps in the process for the thinking strategy to complete a graphic organizer for the task. So you're going to need to select a graphic organizer that you could use to help you solve the problem or to answer the question. On the LFS site that everybody should have access to, it's Achieve Now PD, and I've given you a link. And in the slideshow, you'll be able just to click that link. You can find a ton of graphic organizers, and you may have one that's not on there that you like better. So you just need to choose a graphic organizer to use to solve the problem. Your group will use your completed work to teach everyone else how you use the thinking strategy process to complete the assignment. Once you have worked through the assignment and you solved it yourselves, and you kind of have thought about your thinking and what you had to do to solve it, I want you to use Screencastify, and you are going to talk us through your thinking. So we'd love to see your graphic organizer, like to see you maybe filling it out, how you used that higher order thinking strategy to come to your answer. So you're going to teach us how to use that strategy, what you did. And then once you have completed your video, I want you to insert it on that slides page. So let me get out of this and I will take you over there and let you see what I've got here for you. Okay, so here it is. I have also included on here the characters as soon as this loads, and you can see it. There we go. All right, so I've also included on here the characters that we were looking at, and here are the steps, the instructions, and again, this is you click that and that'll take you straight to the LFS site. You probably will still have to log in, so I don't know how that will work, but you can try it. So here are all of our people that are in that book, so you're going to need to refer back to this depending on which problem or question you have. So here are all of our scenarios. So sixth grade will have all of the yellow, seventh grade the pink, and eighth grade the blue. So you can decide if you want to pair up, or if all of you guys want to take all of them, or however you guys want to do it. Just work together. So on each one of you guys have a slide for that problem or question. So let's just flip through here. And so once you have done your video, Screencastify, go ahead and just upload it. Probably the easiest way to do it would be to upload it into YouTube and then attach it as a YouTube video into slides. That'd probably be the easiest way to do it. And here are the 9 strategies along with the basic definition, the steps in the process of using the strategy, and some questions you can ask as you are working through using this strategy. So I think that's all I had on that slide. So once you have gotten this done, go ahead and put it on there and upload it. And then we will be doing something else with that in March. But right now, your job is just to solve the problem, show us how you solve the problem, and then you will be done for this month. So if you have any questions, I've also got there's a lot of resources in the book itself, which unfortunately y'all don't have a book, but I would be more than happy to let you look at mine. You can't take it, but you can look at it if you need some extra help with your strategy because you're not quite sure where to go with it. I am also going to attach just a little quick quiz for you to take. Remember the higher order, is it hot or is it not? So I have a quiz and now that you've become experts on these, and you will be experts on these. You can try your hand at it again and see how you do. And we'll see um, who knows the most about higher order thinking strategies. So that's all I have for you right now. Thank you so much. If you have any questions or need help with this, please feel free to holler at me, and I will be glad to help in any way I can. Thank you all so much. You guys are awesome.